And here's the balance of power right now when it comes to the U.S. Senate. You can see here Democrats hold the majority of the seats, but the margin is razor thin. If Hogan were to be elected and just one other Senate seat flipped, the scales would tip in favor of the Republican Party.
11 News lead political reporter Kate Amara joins us live from downtown Baltimore with the latest on this announcement. Kate.
Political experts say Larry Hogan is a Republican who can win a statewide office in one of the bluest of blue states in our country. He has a proven track record at the polls, and his opinion polls while in office were sky high, enviable by elected officials on both sides. They say he enters this race the clear and likely front runner, and if he ends up in a matchup on the general election ballot, all eyes from the rest of the country will be on our state, with millions of dollars in funding and resources soon to follow.
We can do so much better, but not if we keep electing the same kind of typical partisan politicians.
Maryland's former Republican governor Larry Hogan wants to be Maryland's next United States senator. He announced he's running in the GOP primary in a video posted online on Friday.
I'm completely fed up with politics as usual.
This changes the dynamics of the entire race, political analysts say, for both major political parties from now through November.
It is absolutely a huge game changer.
I would say that Larry Hogan is the type of political animal that isn't going to get in a race that he thinks is completely unwinnable.
Mr. Hogan is entering an already crowded GOP primary contest, but he is widely considered the clear front runner.
Larry Hogan is perhaps one of the only Republicans that we know of that sit statewide who have either been in elected office or currently sit in elected office who could make this race competitive. I'm not sure if he will yet or not. But he certainly has the building blocks to be able to do so.
Experts say don't count him out, but also don't count on him running with the same campaign and messaging that he's used in the past.
Something I expect from his campaign will certainly try to position himself as a Lisa Murkowski or Mitt Romney or even Joe Manchin figure, somebody who at times will buck party orthodoxy for what they believe their constituents in their home state want.
If this comes to pass, I mean, this is incredibly important for the country. So this is actually, Maryland at this point is going to potentially decide the balance of power in the entire U.S. Senate, which is really staggering to think about at this stage.
All eyes of the nation on one of Maryland's statewide races is not something we are used to. We don't often have highly competitive races that hold national significance, but experts say this election, if Larry Hogan is matched up with one of the two top Democratic frontrunners, Angela Alsobrooks or Congressman David Trone, expect to see millions of dollars in funding, resources, and campaigning on the ground, over the air, and online coming into our state to duke it out to win in November. Reporting live tonight, I'm Kate Amara, WBAL TV 11 News.